Welcome back, traders, to my market outlook on index futures for the week of March 16th. Now, this is going to be the third week of March, and on Friday, the 21st, contracts will be expiring for the March contract. So make sure sometime this week you switch over to the June contract. Here I have S&P on the weekly chart. You can see that last week we came down below this right here. Remember, this was the monthly lower wick consequent encroachment, but it was also this down candle's midpoint, which is going to be the mean threshold. We did wick down into it, creating relative equal lows, did not take out this low just yet, and then we've closed pretty much at that mean threshold. So we do have a lot of sell side liquidity below these lows. I think it will get taken out eventually, but maybe not yet. Maybe we are due for a little bit of retracement because we have a pretty big drop right here. So I think it's going to go up. And as far as the upward target, this weekly SIBI here is going to be the closest one. I think we definitely can aim for that. Now, when we get to this weekly SIBI, are we going to go through it or are we going to drop? Well, who knows? But this is going to be my target for the week coming up. Now, taking a closer look at the daily, remember this weekly SIBI is going to be the target that I'm looking for this week. Especially the lower part, you can see that we do have a daily volume imbalance. So specifically this part is what I am aiming for. Now, if I am going to be bullish, I'm also keeping an eye on this daily SIBI. Remember, there's a small volume imbalance, so I'm using this volume balance and including it in this fair value gap. But I'm looking at this to be a daily inversion fair value gap. So I want to see price trade above it, come down and use it as support to push price up to my weekly target. However, if we do start going down lower, if we start displacing lower, we could go for the sell side before coming back up for any kind of rebalancing. That's not ideally what I want to see, but that is a possibility. So I think going into this week, you really want to pay attention to this daily fair value gap. Moving on to Nasdaq, here's the weekly chart. You can see that last week we did trade down into this area right here that I have in green. I had this from my last week's outlook, and remember this dotted line right here in purple, this is going to be the mean threshold of this down candle, but it's also that monthly consequent encroachment on the lower wick, and so is this blue dotted line right here. So if I go back up to the monthly chart, you can see this is what I'm talking about. 50% of this wick is the purple dotted line and 50% of this wick is the teal dotted line. So now coming back to the weekly, you can see that we wicked down, and where did we stop? Pretty much right in the middle of between these two wicks on the monthly chart, and then we've retraced back up and closed above it. So now I'm looking, same as for S&P, I'm looking for price to do some retracement before looking for any kind of sell side targets. I mean, these sell side targets may get hit eventually, but right now I'm looking towards the upside, and the only thing I see right now is this weekly SIBI. I'm looking for price to trade up to it, and then we also have a weekly volume imbalance in the lower portion of that SIBI. Can we get up to this weekly SIBI? Potentially, but this is going to be the first target and the one that you want to pay attention to. Remember, there is a lot of back and forth action here, so it's going to take a lot to get through this. But if we can get through this eventually, there are smooth highs up here, but don't pay attention to any of that. You really want to just focus on your very next target, which is going to be this weekly SIBI. Now, zooming in on the daily, you can see that we do have relative equal lows on the daily chart, but like I said, I'm looking for some sort of a retracement on a higher time frame up before we come down for the sell side. And just like S&P, I want to keep an eye on this daily fair value gap. This was a SIBI, but I'm looking for price to trade through it and use it as support. That's going to give me the confirmation that we are going to be bullish short term, aiming for this weekly SIBI. And of course, there is that volume balance at the lower part of that SIBI. So that is where I'm going to be aiming for. But in order for that to happen, I want to see confirmation from this daily fair value gap by having price trade up above it, use it as support. If we start displacing lower, if we start just going down, then I'm looking for these relative lows to get taken. Can we take out the sell side here? Possibly. Probably just going to take out these lows and maybe go into this 50% on the lower wick on the monthly chart. But this daily SIBI here, this is the one you guys want to keep your eyes on going into this week. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it for this week. Pretty short and simple, only have one plan. You only have one fair value gap you gotta keep your eyes on that will confirm my idea. And of course, if it rejects, I also gave you a backup plan. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, subscribe if you haven't done so. And until I see you guys next week, safe trading.